Imagine being homeless, not just without a roof, but surrounded by something darker, something you can't explain, something watching from the corners of the night. Eyes, that's exactly what this game throws you into, and from the very first moment, I knew this wasn't your typical survival horror. At first, I thought it would just be about finding scraps of food, staying warm, and dodging a few jump scares here and there. But the second the screen loaded, my chest tightened. The world didn't feel like a game, it felt alive. The silence was the first thing. Not the kind of silence that calms you, but the kind that feels like the world is holding its breath, like every empty window, every broken lamppost, every cracked sidewalk is staring at you, waiting for you to make the wrong move. Rain slicked the streets, puddles reflecting dim neon signs that buzzed and flickered like dying fireflies. Even the air felt heavy, like the city itself was pressing down on me. I took a few cautious steps. Each footstep echoed too loud, bouncing back at me from the walls of empty shops and boarded-up homes. It was almost like the city wanted me to hear myself, wanted me to know how alone I was, and that's when I heard it. Footsteps, not mine. My heart jumped. I froze mid-step, camera whipping around in a slow, anxious spin. Nothing, just shadows that seemed to twitch a little too much, like they weren't just shadows at all. I tried to laugh it off, though. "'Kay, good one, game, you got me." But inside, I wasn't laughing. Inside, my chest was pounding, my throat was dry. Something felt wrong. I moved forward again, slower this time, peeking into alleys. One of them made me stop dead in my tracks. A trash bag rustled, and two faint, glowing eyes peered out. My palms instantly went sweaty. Were they rats? A glitch or something waiting for me? Before I could decide, the screen stuttered. Static hissed in my headphones. The game froze for half a second, and in that flicker, I saw it. A face, staring back at me from the distortion. I ripped my headset halfway off, eyes wide. Did I really just see that? I waited, breath caught in my chest, staring at the frozen screen. Then it continued, as if nothing had happened, just a dirty alley and a couple of scattered trash bags. "Normal, too normal," I whispered, almost laughing, almost terrified. "Okay, that was creepy, but fine. Let's keep moving." And then it happened again, this time not visual but sound, a voice, soft, broken, sliding through the static. "You shouldn't be here." I froze, hand tightening on the mouse. My stomach dropped. That voice didn't sound like it came from the game. It sounded like it was behind me, in my own room, and that, right there, was the moment I realized this wasn't just going to be a horror game. This was something else, something that knew me, but that was nothing compared to what came next. Because if that whisper was a warning, then I should have listened. We pushed deeper into the city, and the further we went, the stranger it felt. The streets weren't just empty, they were wrong. Every block looked familiar, but slightly off. Street signs that should have said Main Street now said things like "Stay out" or "Turn back." Graffiti on the walls seemed to shift if you looked at it. Long, like the paint was still wet, reshaping into words I couldn't quite read. It was like the game itself was rewriting the world around me, brick by brick, as if to trap me inside its own version of reality. And then came the voices. At first, it was faint, like someone talking just out of earshot. You know, when you hear a conversation behind a wall and you can't quite make out the words. That's what it sounded like, except the longer I stood there, the clearer it got. Not one voice, but several, whispering. Some sounded desperate, begging, "Help me, please," while others laughed, dry and hollow, like they knew something I didn't. And in between all of them was this one word, repeated again and again, in different tones, overlapping each other until it made my skin crawl. "Stay." Stay, stay. I didn't want to move. My thumb hovered over the joystick, but I couldn't bring myself to push forward. The sound felt too close, like if I turned my head in real life, I'd see someone right behind me, My character's breathing grew ragged, and it matched mine perfectly. That's when it hit me. The game wasn't just simulating fear, it was syncing with me. It knew. Finally, I forced myself to take a step, then another. The voices died down, but the silence was worse. My footsteps echoed down the cracked pavement, bouncing back from the boarded-up shops. That's when I noticed the walls, handprints, dozens of them, no hundreds, stained across bricks, smeared down as though people had dragged their palms along while being pulled away. I leaned closer to the screen, my heart racing. They weren't faded like old paint. They were fresh, wet, dark. I whispered out loud, half joking, half praying, okay, maybe it's just red paint, right, just decoration. But the pit in my stomach told me otherwise. That's when I heard it. A sound that froze me completely, a child's giggle. It wasn't coming from the speakers. It wasn't even coming from the game. It was in my headset right next to my ear, high-pitched, soft, playful. I nearly tore the headphones off. My whole body stiffened. I laughed nervously, muttering, nope, 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 not okay. And across the street I saw it, a shadow, small, hunched, twitching in the faint glow of a busted neon sign. Its head tilted to the side, too far, like the neck bones were bending the wrong way. It stood perfectly still, yet its body twitched, jerking like a broken puppet. My character froze, and so did I. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. For a long second, I thought maybe it was just a graphical glitch, just a messed-up model, but then it moved, not toward me. No, worse. It started walking slowly across the street, each step deliberate, echoing in the silence, like it wasn't in any rush because it knew I couldn't escape. The game gave me nothing, no hints, no prompts, no buttons to press, just me, staring at this thing making its way toward me. And in that moment, every instinct in my body screamed, run! I yanked the joystick, stumbling backward down the street. My screen shook. The sound of my character's shoes slapping against the pavement mixed with my own heart pounding in my ears. I thought maybe I was safe, that if I kept running it would disappear. But then the giggle turned into a scream. I bolted down the street, every step of my character slamming into the pavement in sync with my heart. The scream still echoed in my headphones, stretching, warping, like it wasn't just one voice, but many screaming through a single mouth. It clawed at my ears, so sharp I winced. My hands shook on the keyboard, but I couldn't stop. I had to get away. I ducked into an alley. The screen flickered like an old VHS tape, and for a second I thought the game had crashed. But no, the world was still there, only darker. The walls of the alley were slick, stained with something I didn't want to imagine. The light above buzzed, flickered once, then died completely. My only vision came from the faint glow of the puddles at my feet, rippling like something had just moved through them. And then came the sound, whispers again, but clearer this time, close, too close. They weren't coming from around me, they were inside my headset. Inside my ears, I couldn't tune them out. A woman's voice, soft and broken, begged, please don't leave me here. My chest tightened. I froze, every part of me screaming not to move. I whispered back without thinking, who's there? My own voice cracked in my headphones. And I swear to you, I swear, I heard an answer, behind you. I whipped the mouse around so fast my character nearly fell over. Nothing, just a wall covered in streaks of red handprints, dragged downward like someone had tried to climb out and failed. That's when I noticed something new. The walls weren't just stained, they were covered in writing, dozens of messages carved deep into the bricks. Some were nonsense, scratched words overlapping each other, but others were clear, don't look up, it's watching, stay in the light. My breathing grew faster. I tried to back away, but the alley seemed longer than before. My steps echoed forever, stretching the space. The whispers grew louder. My character's vision blurred, dark shadows crawling across the edges of the screen like mold spreading over glass. And then I heard it, the sound I'll never forget, a child crying, soft, wet sobs echoing through the alley. I froze, torn between running and following the sound. Against my better judgment, I followed. I turned the corner, heart pounding, palms slick with sweat. And there, at the end of the alley, stood a little figure, small, fragile, hunched over with its face buried in its hands. Its shoulders trembled with each sob. I whispered nervously, "Please just be an NPC. Please." My character took a step forward. The sobbing stopped. Slowly, the figure turned its head toward me, but it wasn't a child's face. It wasn't even human. Its mouth stretched too wide, skin cracking at the edges. Its eyes were hollow sockets, black and dripping like ink. I slammed the keys, trying to back away, panic rising in my throat. The figure twitched violently, its limbs bending at impossible angles. And then it screamed, a sound so sharp and shrill I yanked my headset half off just to breathe, and that was the moment I realized the whispers weren't trying to warn me. They were leading me here. Because now I was trapped with it. I ran. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I just ran. My character's footsteps slammed against the pavement, echoing off the walls like a gunshot in the night. My own heartbeat was pounding just as loud. The thing's scream still rang in my ears, high, pitched and inhuman, stretching until it felt like it was vibrating inside my skull. I sprinted down the street, neon lights flashing overhead like warning sirens. The ground shook beneath me. Not from the game, but from the weight of my own panic. Every time I glanced behind, I saw it. Just a flicker of pale limbs, a distorted shadow slipping between broken cars and street lamps. No matter how fast I moved, it stayed close, not rushing, not lunging, just following, like it knew I couldn't escape. I veered left, ducking into another alley, but the environment twisted around me. Buildings leaned in too far, the geometry bending like rubber. For a second, I thought my game was glitching out, but no, this wasn't broken code. This was intentional. The city itself was reshaping, trying to keep me inside. The sound of dragging feet filled the air again, slow, wet, scraping across the concrete, like flesh pulling against the ground. My breathing turned frantic, shallow gasps as I spun the camera. Nothing, but I knew it was right there. Then darkness. Every streetlight ahead of me popped. One by one, glass raining down in showers of sparks, my path lit only by the flicker of a single buzzing bulb far down the road. That was my only hope. I sprinted toward it, lungs burning, my character stumbling as the screen blurred from exhaustion. My thumb hammered the joystick. Closer, closer finally, I reached the light. For a moment, I felt safe. The glow was warm, almost comforting, cutting away the shadows, and then it exploded. The sound ripped through my headset as shards of glass scattered across the ground, sparks sizzling in puddles. I flinched so hard my chair nearly tipped back, and there it was, standing just beyond the broken light, half hidden in the dark, its body pale and stretched too thin, skin clinging to bone like it didn't quite fit. Its arms were too long, dragging against the ground, leaving streaks behind as it swayed forward. Its head tilted slowly to the side, vertebrae cracking, each sound sharper than the last. It didn't rush me. It didn't scream. It just watched, hollow sockets boring into me as if it was studying, waiting for me to break first. My hands trembled over the keys. I whispered, half to myself, half to the screen, "Nope, nope, not today." And I spun my character, sprinting down the next street. My vision shook violently as the city warped again, roads splitting in directions that didn't exist, buildings stretching taller than they should, windows glowing with faint shapes watching from above. Every corner I turned, it was still there, not closer, not further, just there, always waiting, always watching. Finally, I stumbled into an open square. Silence, empty benches, a fountain dripping slowly, and nothing else. My chest heaved. My character doubled over, gasping. Relief started to wash over me. I laughed nervously, muttering, "Okay, okay, maybe we lost it." The air went still, too still, and then the screen stuttered. My vision warped into static, twisting the world into impossible colors, buildings melting and reappearing, the fountain glitching in and out of existence. My stomach flipped. I tried to move, but the controls froze. The screen cleared, and standing right in front of me, inches away, was the figure. It was right there, face to face, no distance, no shadows. Just it towering over me, pale skin stretched too tight across its bones, hollow sockets where its eyes should be. I couldn't move. My hands hovered uselessly on the keyboard, my breath shallow and ragged. The figure leaned closer. Its mouth never moved, but a voice poured into my head clear, cold, like it was whispering directly into my thoughts. You shouldn't be here. Every hair on my body stood up. The sound wasn't in the headphones. It wasn't part of the game. It was inside me, and then the world broke apart. The street beneath my feet cracked open, glowing with a sickly orange light like molten fire. The buildings around me twisted and melted like candle wax, dripping down into the void. I spun the camera, panicking, but there was nowhere to run. The city was gone. All that remained was darkness stretching forever, and a road that led deeper into it. I didn't want to move forward. My chest ached. My palms were drenched in sweat, but the game gave me no choice. The only option left on screen was a single word flickering in red, continue, so I did. The void shifted, reshaping itself into something worse. Not a city anymore, not even streets, memories, my memories. I stumbled through alleys that looked eerily familiar. I saw broken shelters, cardboard beds, benches under flickering streetlights, places I'd passed in real life, places I didn't expect a game to know. My stomach nodded. This wasn't random level design. It was showing me my past, and then the whispers started again. But now they weren't just nonsense. They were voices I recognized, friends, family, people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some called my name, others repeated secrets I'd buried so deep I'd almost forgotten them, things I never told anyone. I froze, trembling. My voice cracked as I whispered, no way this is part of the game, but it was. One wall in front of me lit up, words carved deep into the bricks, glowing faintly in the dark. It spelled out something I thought no one else knew. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't horror anymore. It was personal. It was pulling me apart. I backed away, eyes wide, muttering, okay, I'm done, I'm out. I slammed the pause key, desperate to escape. Nothing, no menu, no exit. The only word still on the screen, continue. The whispers grew louder, more urgent now. Stay with us, stay forever. And when I tried to turn back, I realized the road I came from was gone. There was no exit anymore, just endless dark pulling me forward. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a game I was playing. This was a game that was playing me, and the worst part. Quitting wasn't an option anymore. The voices didn't stop. They layered over each other, louder and louder, until it felt like hundreds of people were screaming inside my head. My chest hurt from how fast my heart was pounding. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the mouse, but I kept walking. What else could I do? The path twisted and bent, like it didn't want me to leave, and then, far ahead in the distance, I saw it. Something glowing. A door. Just a single door standing in the middle of nothing. No walls, no frame, just a door waiting for me. I sprinted toward it. Desperate, the whispers hissed behind me, turning into screams now. Don't leave, don't leave. The screen flickered violently, static tearing across the world. For a second, I thought my monitor was about to explode. My heart was racing so fast it hurt. The figure appeared again, that same pale, eyeless face. But this time it wasn't whispering, it was running at me, full speed. I panicked, slamming every button, sprinting for the door as fast as the game would let me. My headphones were filled with the sound of footsteps pounding closer and closer, louder than my own. I swear I felt the vibrations in my room, like something was running right behind me in real life. Come on, come on, come on, I yelled, leaning forward in my chair as if it would make me move faster. The door got closer, 10 steps, 5 steps. My screen turned crimson, the figure's hands reaching out for me, my vision blurred with static. The voices all screamed in unison. I grabbed the door. The screen went black, nothing, no sound, no music, just total silence. I sat there frozen, staring at the void, waiting for something, anything, to happen. My heart was thundering so loud I thought my neighbors could hear it, and then, out of nowhere, a whisper, so faint I almost missed it. See you soon. The game closed itself, just like that, back to my desktop, like nothing had happened. I ripped my headphones off, ran my hands through my hair, trying to catch my breath. I was laughing, but it was the nervous kind. The kind you do when you're trying not to lose your mind. And here's the part that really freaked me out. When I checked my recording, the last 15 minutes were gone, corrupted, erased like they never happened. So yeah, safe to say, I'm never touching that game again. Not at night, not in daylight, not ever. And if you're brave enough to try it for yourself, just remember one thing: when you hear the whispers, don't look back. Trust me, you won't like what's following.